Okay, Mr. Chairman, we are rolling.
Okay. So let's call this meeting to order. It is 6:10. And do we actually have to vote on it?
No, you're all set.
Roll call? Okay. Ira? Camp? Chair? Do I speak everybody's name? No, they say their own.
Now we're supposed to go around the horn.
Okay.
Sam, you're on.
I'm on for what?
To say that you're here.
I'm here. Sam Hull is here.
Sally Bay.
John Bell.
Excellent. And Jen texted and she will be here momentarily. These were mysteriously removed by a child, I believe. So, anyway. All right, so today, I'm going to try to do that. Probably I'm gonna just take this one. So, should we specify in this agenda which minutes we're actually working on at this point?
Yes.
So we have 2 minutes to actually review. The April one we were just given, and then the March one we already had some issues with. So how does everybody want to handle this from here? Has everybody seen the email that Sam sent out with some recommended changes or suggested changes to the March one? I just went back through it today and noticed that there's a lot of changes, which honestly is so long ago I can't remember, but I believe it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to approach this, because you had some comments too, I think.
I did it, and unfortunately, I don't know if I can put my hands on it at the second. Is that the copy of the minutes? No?
That's
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
is. This is the copy of the minutes as written.
That's right.
I had some changes and comments and
Oh,
deletions and so
jeez.
forth, which I sent out. I think I put it on,
Yeah.
I think I put it on the cloud, if I'm not mistaken.
I can make copies of that if everybody wants a copy to look
But we're gonna have a hell of a time trying to normalize all of your comments and my comments.
There are 3 pages, Sam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Well, I'll just make copies so that everybody can review, or? Yeah.
Yeah, even if we don't do it today, right? And I mean, I hate to not approve minutes again, but just being
I
given
think
this one
until we're
for
in some kind of a
April.
format where we can read them and say, yeah, I agree with that, it's pretty hard approving them if it's all in the form of comments and logic.
I mean, the idea of putting them on the cloud was that other people could make comments
Right.
on that, and you could, yours would show up in green, and yours in red, and mine in yellow, and then we
Okay,
could.
I'm wondering if, I mean, I didn't go and I didn't actually look. Oh, when somebody puts out something that we never got to figure out how to send out that announcement, have we? Because I honestly didn't know that, but I should have known they were there, because that's what we said we were gonna do, we were gonna use it.
Right.
But I guess I'm guilty, I didn't go and I didn't look there. so-
And I'm still having.
Well, if
You're having issues
if
getting on that?
anybody is having difficulty sending out an email message from the cloud, just do it through regular email.
Right, well, that's not the problem, I think it's notification that something's actually on the cloud that we're running into.
Well,
Right, is that a safe assumption?
I
That's
still
what's
get
happening?
emails through the cloud, I'm not really
Yeah.
sure about.
That's
how
what I mean,
it is.
if you can,
Go back through it, but
if you can post stuff to the cloud with no problem, when you're having difficulty using the email in the cloud, just use a regular email to notify everybody that
I mean,
you're
for the
posting
record,
something
I'm
to the cloud.
gonna be using regular email anyway. So if anybody has anything that wants to get to me, I prefer you just email me with an attachment. I just don't have time to. And that way I can just chuck them in my folder, and when I get a minute to go through them, I can just read through my emails, you know? So if that's okay with everybody,
No.
I prefer to just.
Well, how do you want to proceed? Because there's something up there now with one member's comments on it. And I thought that we were going to do it was other people would comment or say, no, that's wrong, Sam, or, you know, take that off, or that's not what I recall. There would be a rolling accumulation
Right,
of comments, and at some point we could say, we accept that.
right.
Well, actually,
Hit the accept all key, and now we have to conform minutes.
if I may, I thought we were gonna pretty much, because now we're video recording for the starting at the last meeting, that the minutes were gonna get much more simple, where the only thing that would be written would be what we actually went over, what we voted on, who voted on what, and whether it passed or did not. And that will be it for the minutes, so we wouldn't have to do this, and then for the people that wanted to see this would go with the video.
That's correct. Sounds fine.
So
We,
I think that we should all just review the minutes as far as April and March, and we could just email each other with any suggested changes. I mean, I think that you,
this is gonna come out, and we, basically, all these words will come out, and I agree, that's the way we ought to do it. We discussed the Chesapeake Group, period.
yeah,
So,
there were no votes made.
Yeah.
or no votes made, is
That's
that
exactly how, that's exactly how it'll go from here on, and now that we videotape, like Ira said, it'll be there for posterity, we have hard copies of town hall, and that's exactly what'll happen.
I'm happy to redact these in the new conformed manner that,
Right, because these were just done before we
Right.
started videotaping. My only, my issue with the original minutes where it was the townhouse corner district and the statement about, that's what could be separate from the zoning rewrite. And Mr. Reddick informed me that they were integral components and the TC standards would have to be rewritten in a different format. Mr. Reddick also stated that the planning board and other town officials were concerned that the TCD district would require modifications to the town's comprehensive plan. As I remember it, we were going to attempt this as a separate zoning rewrite, and that we made modifications to how large the townhouse corner district was going to be, so that it wouldn't have to get the comprehensive plan rewrite, be within the comprehensive plan.
and so these minutes were before we started taking this, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, for these minutes,
We
do
do
we
have
want
to
to make them bigger or smaller?
I would try to keep them at the size that they are, agree upon the language, and then forward and accept them that way. I don't want to, it's kind of hard to elaborate now because we don't have any record of what, now it's going to be, I remember this, I remember that. So we can elaborate, but I would rather not shrink them more. I'd rather keep them somewhat in this format so that we can agree upon any changes and move forward with the way that they're presented. Just because of, like I said, nobody can remember what happened.
All right, well, I will volunteer, people will, this is the, you all have these minutes.
Yes.
Electronic. You get some comments, send them to me, I'll put them together, and come up with a draft conformance copy for the March minutes. And you can act on them, change them, review them, and we'll come to the next meeting with a version that everybody agrees upon.
Yeah, so that'll be for the July meeting, because the next meeting on June 27th, I don't think we'll have time to be discussing. So what I'll do is I'll have the truncated, and as I said, I apologize, I didn't get the minutes finished of the meeting, but I'll have the short version of the May meeting, we'll have the short version of this meeting,
Yeah.
and then March and April will also be, we'll take a block of time to discuss those and get those approved.
sounds good. I don't have any issue with anything that Sam wrote. I did read them, and I understand, the comments that were made, and so as far as my memory of things, I would agree that there's a couple of things that I don't remember being talked about. The main thing being about the corner, townhouse corner, and I mean that's this whole section here is obviously the main point of contention for most of us is the townhouse corner.
Send me your comments if you would like to see those words, and I'll put them together. Okay?
Excellent.
Sounds good.
For March.
And then as far as April's go, since we just got them, should we also get a chance to review those? April is right here.
Oh,
Oh, that's March.
those, sorry.
No, it's not. Three.
Those are not sure.
I didn't send them.
Okay.
It might just be,
Okay, so I didn't miss these ones. These did get sent out, the April.
I thought they went to the last meeting, but I didn't.
no,
Oh, you thought they
yeah,
went to the last meeting?
Yes, I
Oh,
thought they were handled
oh,
it
and it was
last
actually
meeting
March
before
that we
it
were
was
dealing with it.
done. Pretty much, yeah, right after the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, see what happened was he thought that they got to us because on our agenda, it said review
was-
April minutes,
And I have.
but it was actually March's minutes that showed up,
Exactly.
so.
You have a copy of this?
All right, we'll get that all straightened up and back on track.
All right, so let's table-
Everybody's got a copy? Okay, so this, who's gonna do what for this?
I'm gonna actually start a, what, for April's?
April.
We're gonna table it, we're
We're
gonna talk
gonna
about it, and do the same
do
thing.
all the meeting minutes in the July meeting.
So who's gonna, and I offered to do it for March, to pull everything together. Who's gonna do it for April?
I'll volunteer to do it for April, if anybody wants to send me the comments
Oh,
for April. I'll-
okay.
Okay.
Didn't know what you had.
For the chair,
Yeah.
you have an agenda item where you're going to be voting in a secretary. I would suggest that would be the secretary's job to coordinate that, because that's what the secretary does.
Do we have a secretary to vote in at this point?
You have to make a nomination. That's
Oh,
one of the offices you're required to have under your bylaws.
Somebody will nominate, there'll be a second, there'll be a vote, it'll pass or fail, and we'll move forward. And as, you know.
Who is it here? Jen.
I nominate Jen in secretary's position.
I'm gonna nominate. You're not me, should I nominate Sam?
I'm gonna comment, but I will be out of the country for 2 months.
Well, can you have sub?
I nominate Linda for some.
Well, I
Who's the
just,
vice chair? Linda.
yeah,
Okay, so it can't, there are 4 people remaining that can be the secretary.
They can't be with it.
Yeah.
You
I'm
snuck out of that.
saying.
Yes.
Snuck out of that.
And as stated, it's going to be much simpler. You'll either be able to do it right at the meeting or go to the website, view, and it should be pretty straightforward from now on.
so the only thing the secretary would really need to keep track of is what we voted on, who was attendance,
And who voted and what the vote was.
You should be able to go to the website and view
I'll
what
do
The videos are on the
Well,
website.
we can do it together as a tag team, I mean, 'cause I'm not gonna be here.
You're not gonna be, I wouldn't mind doing it if I had that video
Yeah,
with sound that I could actually hear
okay,
to refer to.
okay.
Because I turn my computer on and I might get a few words and then the voice just comes.
Okay.
Nothing, when people talk around the table. You get to the end of it, you've got no goddamn idea what anybody said.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if there's any way of hooking up a remote microphone that could be planted in the middle of the table
Yeah.
There is.
to enhance that, but
The other thing I would suggest is if you subscribe to Arundel Maine's YouTube page, that as soon as he
I have
uploads
several
a
good
post,
microphones.
as soon as he uploads a video, an email gets sent to you that the video's been added. So it just might
It's not
make
that we have
it
huge troops of people walking in.
The problem is, John, is that when I upload the video to the website, I have to convert it to WMV instead of the file that it's actually in, because it's recorded in HD, and it takes like, if I were to upload it in HD, it would take like 15 hours to upload the video. So I convert it, which takes 20 minutes, then I upload it, which takes another
Yeah.
20. So
Does it sound better in the HD? Maybe
it
you
is,
just get a copy
actually.
of it.
Yeah, and I can probably just burn you with this, if that's, you know, worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I'll make
Oh.
this for you, and then you can listen.
Can I just ask, though, what would, I mean, what would you need to review if you just, if notes are taken during the meeting of what we voted on and what we passed, that's really all that needs to be done.
Yeah.
if he wasn't here.
Oh, if you weren't here.
No, thought, you want.
well, I think it's just kind of nice if you need to refer to anything, you know. And for that matter, for the sake of anybody else who
Right, well,
wants
I'm
to
not
watch
saying it
that
shouldn't be
video,
fixed.
Yeah.
it should have a soundtrack that
No,
people
I
can hear.
agree,
you know?
it's not, I'm not saying that
So-
we shouldn't try to fix the audio problem. I'm just-
So if we had the audio problem fixed, I mean, that would take care of it for the general public as well as for the
Yeah, it is.
purposes of, you know, keeping.
I should be able to fix the audio problem, I'll look at the camera when we're done, I'll bring in some microphones and get it in there. I have the technology and possibly the capability.
That would be great, because I'll tell you, if you look at the townhouse corner public hearing and workshop, it's very difficult to hear in person.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult, and so it's almost like a lost information, because the audio just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I think I sent you an email, but I just, for the public, I have to leave at 7 o'clock
Okay.
because I have a conflicting and rescheduling to one of our meetings.
Okay.
Finance.
right, so,
So you were gonna, Sam, you were gonna nominate John for secretary.
I would be, I nominate John Bell as secretary.
I second. All in favor? I guess John doesn't vote for himself.
congratulations, John.
Here you go, John, these are all yours.
John.
I've always missed the boat.
John is our secretary.
Lucky they were thinking about you.
No, we're not even.
Not very good choice.
Second motion and Ira seconded it. And it was unanimous. And then Jennifer Burrows arrives.
Are we not on TV?
It's
We are
6:25, yeah.
It's 6:25.
I was just gonna tell a joke.
You can tell that. We should.
Was it math books in the dictionary? I got problems.
All right, so
All right.
All right.
on to the next, well, I guess, can we skip around in order if there's anything that Sam wants to make sure he's a part of before we, to make sure we get to it while he's here?
The most
I
important
think
thing
it's
is the
marketing,
branding
and that's
study.
next,
Yeah,
so.
Okay, all right, so then let's get right to that. So, preparation for the meeting on June 27th. What is it that we're preparing for at this point?
I think you're just preparing to listen, really, because Howard will be in on sometime mid-morning on the 27th. He tried to schedule a meeting at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said no. It'll be, if everyone can do 5 o'clock, we're intending to do 5 o'clock. If everybody can make 5:30, we'll still set it for 5 o'clock and start when the group gets here. Howard is planning to do his presentation of the information that he's gathered so far to the Economic Development Committee, because if you recall at the last meeting, he said it's pretty important for the EDC to present that to the Board of Selectmen, to be able to sell the plan, to be able to explain things, and so I think he'll go through the points, the bullet list, give you the information you need. We'll be able to follow up with questions.
Did we already set
Is
a
it
meeting
really
for
July
the 27th?
27th?
I had said
June.
Email.
June 20th.
June 27th, he sent out,
This is June.
Oh, yeah, I had revised the agenda. I did send around an email maybe last week or the week before about June 27th,
Yeah.
Yes.
and everybody seemed to be available. I know 5 o'clock isn't the best time, but I have a feeling that Howard might have other obligations, and that's
Just
why he
odd
wanted
that
to
I
be
didn't
here.
put it on my calendar.
And just to be clear, what he's presenting is the completion of the task of phase 3, completion of the SWOT analysis.
Correct.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
That is correct.
He is perceived coming out of his work and his study.
Absolutely.
And that will be here.
That will be here
At 5.
at 5.
now is that just, that's just us?
That's just us. Yes, that's what that is Howard wants to work with you folks on the information that he has to get it, to present it to you in a way that you can digest it and be able to go to the Board of Selectmen on July 8th to tell them what Howard said, but he'll also be here for that July meeting.
So he's going to be here July
He
8th.
will be here July 8th as well.
It's going to disseminate SWOT.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And the other is at the July 8th meeting. We had talked about having the planning board, the comp plan review.
I'm going to let all the boards and committees know that Howard is coming to present, and hopefully we'll be able to get all of those, as you mentioned, planning board, the comp plan committee, the Board of Appeals if they'd like to come, strategic planning if they are still loosely associated, and try to get as much publicity out there that this will be happening at that meeting.
So basically, all committee members, all town.
Welcome to join us, and they will be invited as well. We'll receive an email directly from me letting them know that this meeting will occur.
And this one on the 8th will be at what time?
7 p.m. here in the library.
That's when we present to the US.
That's when we, the Economic Development Committee, and staff, I assume, will be part of it.
Yep.
I assume that's good.
Yep.
We'll be presenting all the hard work that Howard's done to this point, what they paid their 25 grand for.
Yep.
And what we see is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I expect it will generate some needed comments.
And I expect that that's what Howard's kind of looking forward to as he moves on to the next phase in the branding, is to see how the reaction goes with, I think he'll maybe have some things that are a little bit more, not risque, but, you know, a little bit more controversial that he may come out with in order to try to judge the reaction of the people, of the boards, to see, you know, how, to help him move into the next phase.
So we want to, as far as this Board of Selectmen's meeting that takes place in July 8th, I know that at a limited time we're having a public forum, but are we to start publicizing this, to try to get maybe townspeople involved in this meeting, or?
I mean, we can invite as many people as we want, and I'm going to email.
Well, I know you have committees, but I didn't know about.
Like any other meeting, this one I'm not going for a full-out mail everybody an
Right.
invitation.
Okay.
This is more of an initial preliminary,
Right, but like any other select meeting, we want people to attend, but
Absolutely.
we don't need to go out of our way to try to solicit people.
no, I wouldn't say
Okay.
that.
Well, I think if anything,
I think we'd be
we
better
probably
off
owe
to-
it to the selectmen to give them a preview of
Okay.
the,
All right.
you know, show.
And that's why I wonder whether it's wise to invite all of the committees that are listed on the town website, because some are non-functional,
Right.
some haven't met for some time, and you don't necessarily want to stir up the hornet's nest too much.
Good point. We might want to give the selectmen some time to digest it.
I think that would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So,
And it'll be publicly noticed,
Right.
meaning anybody can come, but
but we.
I think I would still invite the planning board and the comp plan committee, because they're getting ready to move forward with their work, and I think it would
The planning board. Anything else? Does it have to do with strategic thinking?
I think those are pretty
The
much.
problem is our strategic thinkers of all kind of.
Because he's saying it, so.
Sure, you're a member of that OS board, aren't you, John?
Yeah.
resigned, you resigned from that board.
You resigned.
Yes,
I did?
yes.
You're still listed.
Are you still
I didn't
listening?
take him on.
Oh, okay.
Member for life.
So
No,
you
they-
can
they-
report what they did last.
I would think the planning board would be important to have there.
Yes.
I think the comp plan review board, because they're about to start their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But other than that, this won't be a widespread advertised, well, it'll be advertised as a regular meeting with this on the agenda, but we're not going to do the focused approach to try to inform people that, you know, we're going to have a rollout. I think it's going to be important to send personal invitations to the people who participated in the focus groups when we do the big rollout, as well as all residents. They'll get a bulk mailing, and it'll go to every resident, as well as every email address I have.
Did you get everybody in those focus groups to sign up? Did they give you any contact info?
That's a good question. I
I
don't.
didn't see that happen.
No, I didn't even think of doing that.
So I'll have to, we'll all have to give you
The list
a
of
list of
people
who
that
showed
you
up.
remember who's
Yeah.
there.
Did you want to go through that as well? I mean, I don't know if you, like I said, the businessmen's meeting, unfortunately, we didn't have that many people
We're
show up.
promised by a lot.
We promised a lot of shows, and then we had no shows, but the good thing about it, I don't know how it agrees, I don't know if you talked to him about it, but there was 4 of us that were there with Howard, including myself, and we talked till 9:30, and it was really great discussion, I thought. I mean, it just, we kept, and finally someone, you know, said, oh my God, it's 9:30, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it was a good meeting, although we didn't have nearly the people that we used to. But the people that we had there just had some really great input, I think.
That's what I heard.
That's what you heard?
That's what I heard.
Hey!
Word on the interwebs was.
Really bad about that. I mean, I couldn't believe the people that,
Yeah.
Oh, really? How many people showed and how many people didn't?
we had, Bentley Warren, and
These are did or did not?
They came.
Okay.
Dick Fritz, and Jim Pomondon,
Yeah.
and myself.
And we had maybe 6 or 7 others
Right.
who had told me or Linda that they were going to
Right,
be a part.
it was, right, he had talked to him, I had talked to a bunch, I had,
Fritzy,
So on
that's awesome.
it was awesome, I mean,
Why
I.
didn't you call me? I would have loved it.
You know, I just would like to comment, Howard comes on the 27th, right?
Mhm.
June, yeah.
We have a week in which to prepare our Dog and Pony Show.
Mhm.
All of our, any video any presentations we're doing, any PowerPoints.
I'm really hoping that he's done the work on PowerPoint, or however, and we.
That's his job.
That's his job,
Coming.
if
He's
we
gonna
need,
do
the only thing we gotta do is figure out how to display it,
Well, we,
right? That's not what, you know what I mean, I'm assuming, he's got the presentations done, we're just
hope so.
gotta learn,
yes, I
And
know
we're
Learn
gonna
it.
back them up and, right?
Correct.
right, I mean,
Exactly.
I didn't expect us to make PowerPoint presentations, I think he's gonna have that all done for us,
we're gonna be presenting.
what we're gonna be
You
presenting.
sitting back there someplace in case somebody gets this deep water.
Stumbles or, you know, if there's
Oh,
direct
okay, so
questions and.
we are gonna be presenting.
We will be presenting. You will be leading off as our august chair, and you will be doing your thing. Yay.
So is it safe to assume that we need to,
You need to practice time.
okay, first of all, June 27th, it says preparation for the meeting, we don't have to prep for that, because it's.
You don't have to come to
We
that
don't have to
meeting,
do
though, because
nothing
that
except show up.
absorbed.
Okay, we're done, so we're not doing anything for that. And then we have the selectmen meeting on July 8th. We really, say this, have to call a special meeting before then so that we can prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
good
you
luck
brought
with that.
up
I'm gone from the following day to the day before. I'm
Well,
gone from
we'll
June
write your
20
speech
I'm
for you.
gone from June 28th to July
How
7th.
are you at impromptu?
So.
Well, you know what, this is what we do, we each take a section
Yeah.
of what we're gonna do. He'll get his, he can review it. I don't think he's got a problem about speaking and so forth, so we're just gonna
I'm
be.
not gonna get it though. I'm not gonna.
There'll be nothing.
Oh, you're not gonna.
Nothing,
you're not-
There'll be nothing, no surprises.
I mean, I don't mind standing up and
You
saying,
do the
hey, this is
introduction.
our presentation, and
I'll
you know,
email.
if you give me something to read and whatever, I'll pick it up from you Monday morning and read it throughout the day on Monday, but, and it's possible I may pop into town for a day in between, and I'll come meet with whatever and grab it, but
You can almost split it up there.
Unless work
1,
calls me
2,
in, I'm
4, 5 people in
Yeah,
the chair,
yeah.
right? With strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Well, I think we need to see it.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'll
understand that, but it's gonna be easy to cut up.
email Howard tomorrow morning to get a feel for how much of a presentation, how much he's expecting you to take on, and so I can forward that to all of you and let you know what he says.
Now, Linda brought up the question of, were we going to talk at all about what happened at the focus groups? And there's something I would like to say about what happened at the one that I called.
Okay.
this
Yeah,
is
which-
the one that was done here at the school?
Yes.
For
With
arts
the
and
arts and cultural
Yeah,
group.
okay.
And there were 12 people there.
Wow.
They all showed?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, in fact, an extra 2 came. 10 I counted on and 2 extras showed up. And I didn't participate, I only listened.
that's fantastic, good job.
And there were 2 who have businesses. Brandon Gillard of Kennebunkport Bicycle Company
Mhm.
and Adrian Grant at the Arundel Barn Playhouse, who made a specific point of saying what great service they believe they get from the code and planning offices. And I don't think that should go unnoted. And they were quite adamant about it. And the contrast between their experience here and what their experience has been in other towns.
Well, it's good, 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 it's good to know.
Was there anything else, or was that the point that you wanted to?
That was the point that I
Oh, great.
wanted to make. You know, there was all sorts of the other kinds of conversations that go on. But I know that hadn't been relayed to Todd,
Yeah.
because I specifically asked him. And so I'm sure it hadn't been relayed to the rest of you.
Excellent.
Good.
Good.
Good news is good news. How long do you think we will have with the Board of Selectmen?
As long as you need,
Seriously, how long should we plan for?
I would say 20 minutes, max. Like max. I mean, that, I wouldn't expect you folks to have to take up that much time. I would expect Howard to, I would hope Howard's gonna present the background information and his supporting information and give you each roles as to what you should be presenting to the board. But as I said, I'll ask Howard a series of questions tomorrow morning when I email him, and then we'll be able to determine how much time we'll need before the board. We can have as much time as we want.
And then I'm
or as
sure
little
they'll have
time as we
questions
need.
after that.
Exactly.
So we're saying we should keep the presentation portion of it to 20 minutes or less.
I would think, unless he's going to come in and inundate you folks with information to disseminate to everyone. I mean, there'll be a hard copy of the report that'll be presented, but I don't expect you to present that verbatim.
Will the Board of Selectmen have a copy of that report prior to their meeting?
I would hope so, and I'll try to make it.
And we'll be getting that report on the 27th?
That's what I understood in the email he sent me, yes.
Okay, so I'll be able to take that with me and read it.
Maybe I'd have a great time with your vacation. But, yes.
There's no plane, I'm not going that far away. I'm just not planning on coming back.
It'd be good to be clear on exactly how the interplay between Howard and the commission and this committee will take place, because if we're making it and he's sitting in the background to answer questions, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If he's making it and calling on us to do tap dance, that's something else.
He may, and let me get that clarified through Howard.
Which would you prefer?
I would kind of prefer, I mean, we paid $25,000, I prefer to have Howard do the presentation
That
and
would
you
be-
folks add supporting information that he cues you to do or provides you with, so that the majority of the work should be done, I think, by Howard. I
Absolutely.
mean, that's my opinion.
That would be the typical protocol.
Exactly, and then the board's there to support him, provide information that he may ask you to provide, you know, okay, Sam, you step in at this point and say, this is what we did, but let me give an exact breakdown from Howard of how that's going to happen, so I'll email him tomorrow, so hopefully by Thursday or at the end of the week, the latest, we'll know what to expect, so that when he arrives, you're prepared to understand what he'll be looking for.
So how did we get on the thing where we were supposed to be the ones that made the presentation? Or was that to the public, on the public forum end of it?
That's pretty much, I think, the public forum. I may have-
Because I thought the public forum is going to be mainly electronic,
Yeah.
what he's talking about, so there's no real opportunity for us to do. This is our stage show here with the Board of Selectmen and whoever's here. So if the committee wants to take a role as the author of this report, then this is the time to do it. I'm not sure Howard should be taking the lead on this.
Through the chair.
Yes, please.
I think you're gonna have plenty of follow-up time, folks.
Yes.
To get out there and sell this, because the selling doesn't end at the selectmen, it ends at the selectmen. And it's only one component in your overall economic development plan. Realize this isn't just the be-all, end-all, there's strategies, and there's still data we have to do, and there's a lot of things we have to do. This is a major cornerstone, but it isn't the only thing. And the second point is that one of the things we're going to do with the consultant, and one of the reasons we pay him, is for him to put the target on his chest. That's what he gets paid to do. So if there's something that Howard's suggesting that's controversial, we want it to be Howard's.
Well, and if I may, I was going to say, part of the thing I think when we meet with him on the week before that is to, when he gives us the deal, is to say, you know, we don't think that's a good way to go.
Exactly.
If you want to cover it, fine, but don't make that your point of emphasis. If you want to get out of town alive, you know, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, just for an example.
Or
And then,
if
or
you're
other things,
wrong.
the complete opposite of that as well. If there are certain things we feel should be highlighted.
There may be aspects of it that strike the group as being spot on, and others that need a little interrogation of Howard to justify why he's taking the stand he's taking.
It's something we may disagree with.
Right, absolutely.
And I think if there's parts of the proposal that, you know, if we're sitting there and it strikes somebody that, hey, you know, that sounds like something I really want to talk about at the meeting, then, you know, maybe you talk to Howard about doing that portion of the presentation for yourself, you know? In speaking for myself, I just want to make sure the facts get across clearly, and clearly he's going to be more apt to know the facts off the top of his head and be able to present them without stumbling across half the presentation. So I would just make sure that, you know, whoever is going to do the best job, I honestly don't care how it gets to them, as long as the information gets to them clearly for what we get out of the report.
Typically, it would be the consultant making the presentation. Whatever committee had been working with the consultant, the biggest, most important task is to listen to the questions from the Board of Selectmen and take in their response and be open to their response. I don't think the committee should be making the presentation.
I think it's going to be very difficult for the committee to make the presentation, given that we've only got 1 week between the time all of this information gets dumped on us and 1 week later the presentation's got to be made. It's not like we're a full-time outfit that's got a week to work on it. It's going to be very difficult to even get a meeting together.
The chair is missing, and our chair, you're not here.
Well, I'll be gone for the weekend, so I'm
Right.
not going to be able to meet.
But the fourth is in the middle of that.
I know.
That's what I'm saying, that's why I'm gone, it's July.
That's a bad one too.
Yeah.
That's just another reason to put the
Yeah.
weight on.
Well, and not only that, I mean, I was under the impression that it was a public forum, that he expected us to take the lead.
I may have misunderstood that conversation during, I might have eaten that barbecue chicken pizza or something at that point in time. But no, I mean, as Sally said, he's the consultant that we paid, you know, a fairly good amount of money to do this part of the work, and owning and accepting helping to make the decision for the branding phase, and owning that branding phase is going to fall on this committee. And that is going to be where this committee is going to go out, and everybody, people are going to get sick and tired of hearing Jen at the store say, oh, hey, you know, have you heard the new slogan? And you're like, Jen, stop it, I've heard it 6 times today.
Let me show you my tattoo.
Please don't.
So, I think, you know, and like Ira won't be here, I won't be here the 3rd, 4th, or 5th. At the 4th's a holiday, so we're not gonna have a lot of time to after.
I was looking at the calendar, it's gonna have to be the 1st or 2nd, so
Yeah.
it's Monday or Tuesday,
Right,
if
so-
we were gonna meet.
That makes the meeting on the 27th then critical for us to make sure that
Right.
he is in harmony with what we want to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plan on
Rather
hearing
than
him out and
and him
spending
doing his
time.
thing, and we're trying to catch up. You can't do that.
I think we'll be there to critique what he's planning on presenting, and help him to tailor it to be well accepted by the board.
Well, I think that we should plan on taking the time to not only listen to him and talk to him about it, but after he leaves,
To discuss.
discuss it amongst
How we're
ourselves,
gonna make-
and then
I like
hopefully
having
get
it
that
before
message
it's
relayed to him prior to the next
And
meeting.
we have to have a copy of it. We bring it up on the 27th. Is there any way that you could
Yeah.
show it a day earlier? Something
I'll
because
add that to my email
you
as
sit
well.
there cold on the 27th without having read it, it's going to be
We're
tough.
gonna get a lot of information.
Okay.
One other very important question, are we getting free pizza again on this meeting?
It wasn't free for me, but yeah, I can get these. I can provide, it'll be 7 o'clock at night, so, I mean, 5 o'clock. in the
5 o'clock here.
Man, it's a good sandwich.
Yeah, what is it saying?
Yeah, can I send those bills yet, or what?
Why don't you
Can you do that?
watch
Sure.
race?
Pick them up if you want.
I can bring them, I don't have them.
Okay, well, I'll coordinate with you then, and we'll have that taken care of. Any other questions on the meeting on the 27th or the 8th?
And that's at 7 p.m.
That's it, the meeting on the 8th is at 7
And
p.m.
that's also here.
That is correct.
No, it's actually a normal board of selectors meeting, we're just.
We have 20 minutes of it, right?
Or so, it may take longer, that was just a kind of
Where will it be on the agenda?
a, first.
Good.
And is there anything else you know if it's coming up on the agenda? It's big.
Not for that, I'll make sure there's nothing else.
That's the first meeting for the new appointees, isn't
No, this week, this coming Monday is the first meeting, so they'll get all the appointments, all the election, everything out of the way, and then I'll minimize as best as possible the agenda for the 8th.
We'll get an early copy.
So, are we done with that portion of it? Is everybody pleased with what we got at this point?
I think so.
Basically,
Mr. Chairman.
listen to his presentation on the 27th, talk to Howard about how we feel about it, and then have a brief meeting amongst ourselves afterwards, and if there's anything serious that we need to make sure Howard knows about, we get it to Todd, so Todd can get it to Howard. And then if Howard doesn't say what we want him to say on the 8th, we beat him into submission. Just strike that last part. Doesn't work very well.
We have difficulties doing this. Check.
Yeah, do you want to see,
Yeah.
do you want to put anything in the, yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sure,
Five.
5, but we can talk about 5, we might as well.
Okay.
There are a lot of boards and committees that are taking a role in reshaping the direction the town is going, economically and socially and every other way. And I just wanted to raise the question of how are we going to make sure we're all singing the same tune, we're all reading out of the same hymnal, whatever the metaphor you want to use is. That the planning board's not going this direction and we're going in that direction, and how do we, without burdening us with trying to follow everybody's writings and minutes and attend everybody's meeting, which is impossible, is there a way, that's a question, is there a way that we can make sure that we're all heading in the same direction?
I think the only way that we would be able to do it would be if each of us were to take another committee and say one of us go to the planning board, one of us go to the top comprehensive plan committee, and do it that way. But I wonder, are we not kind of stepping into the area that the board of selectmen ought to be taking care of?
Yes.
And coordinating all these committees.
And don't you have the same town staffers? Well, like you're at the planning board, so that there's a common linchpin there. Are you also at the planning board?
I'm not at the planning board, I'm at the selectmen's meeting.
And what was the other one?
It's
So it's
the,
gonna complement.
I mean, we're redoing the land use ordinance, right? That's not correct. There's been some discussion about the planning board's philosophy. Is that correct, Todd?
Yes.
Okay. We're coming up with what we're doing here in terms of a vision and a economic development mission and the kind of things that we're trying to come up with. Who else is involved? The selectmen have their own mind, of course. Well, there's staff. So how do we harmonize this group?
I think the town staffers do that.
We can also, I had one quarterly multi-board meeting.
That was a year and a half ago.
Yes, exactly, and it didn't really go so well.
No, what do you mean? I think it,
Kind of ended up hashing out a lot of the old stuff.
but I think it got people going.
Yeah.
You know
and-
what I'm saying? It
No,
was
and I
start,
do
think-
intend, if not at the meeting on the 28th, the meeting on the 8th, to try to schedule something so that all the boards can regularly meet, especially as we try to move forward with the comp plan, with the land use provisions, with the EDC plan. I think it will be important for those boards to come together and meet so that we have a forum where everyone is present. Each chair can give a report as to what their board's doing, and you know what's coming before us, how far have we made it, so that we can not only understand what each board's doing and how they're working together, but also what they would like to see as we move forward, and to successfully implement all of the plans that we're going to have coming our way.
My concern is not on the activities of the boards.
Yeah.
It's on the strategy, the strategic overview, a 30,000-foot view, because we all should have that same 30,000-foot view.
Yeah.
And I
Especially
frankly
once
don't believe that the selectmen are busy with so many other things that it should be their responsibility. I think that's a great idea, to have this sort of a quarterly or some other meeting.
Especially once we get this report.
Yeah, and we,
Yeah, I mean,
We all need to be on the
all
same
boards
page.
will need to be on the same page.
we have, it has to be a unified front, and we'll have to, you know, sell it. Maybe it's gonna take everybody to sell this plan and to make it happen in the best interest of the town.
Sure.
Sure.
The planning board and the comp plan committee will be working together.
Yep.
So I would suggest the EDC also join those meetings, especially when it deals with matters of particular interest to the EDC.
Well, that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, that's, it is hard, especially when, I mean, at what level? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, the comp plan committee is gonna make a policy directive. Planning board's gonna be dealing with a policy directive.
What did that mean?
We'll be looking at large issues, which is what you guys are looking at. We're looking at macro issues, and micro issues. Planning board will go into the micro issue component when they take the large issue and move into writing regulations. That's where the planning board will say, yeah, thank you.
But I think-
We'll go through that now. What is the goal? What is the communal goal? What is the goal we all agree to? What is the policy we all agree to? And, okay, we'll go out on that.
But I
Sorry,
think
John,
what
did I
Linda
get
meant, when we
this?
show up there, what capacity are we showing up? Are we showing up there to be a part of the meeting? Are we showing up there to just sit there and listen? You know, are we gonna have an input? Like-
Right, I mean, when you know, if you have you have a comprehensive planning committee that is supposed to be rewriting the comprehensive plan, and
It's not like we can
it's-
show up there
yeah,
and
no,
vote.
and say, well, no, that's not the direction we want to go. I mean, I think it needs to come from
It's a-
management and board of selectmen and say, this is the direction you're going with this.
You're gonna listen to you guys.
But it really is a steering committee that you're talking about. It's not the whole boards all together. It's a steering committee, and I'll put it to you, it's the chair of each of the committees that act in concert to make sure that they all understand.
I'm
which way
totally
which way
fine
the town
with having
is
that
But it's the
quarterly meeting.
staff choreographing.
Right.
Again,
No, it's not.
Well, and Ted
It's
is
not
on
staff.
it.
It's-
Tad is on all three boards that we're talking about here, ours, and then the comprehensive plan group that's getting together, right? And then also the board of selectmen. Planning board.
And I'll be involved in comprehensive plan as well, just by default.
and you're gonna create a forum to make sure that the communication flows.
Absolutely.
But it's not communications, it's not getting minutes of meetings.
No, it isn't.
Because
That's arrow type mailings that are informing people of what these boards are doing and what direction we're going in, what our goals are. It's kind of a revamp of what we, you know, the typical banter you get out of the arrow is gonna change because we're gonna have to use that more effectively as a vehicle to communicate with the community about what's going on as we move forward. Because for the comp plan to get passed, it has to pass the town meeting vote. So everybody has to understand that. For the land use ordinances to get passed, it has to pass the town meeting vote. For the economic development plan to pass, so we need to make sure those levels of communication are precise so that people aren't surprised by what they're hearing.
And the economic development fund will be folded in, it'll be part of the comprehensive.
Exactly.
Is the comprehensive plan committee put together yet?
That I've almost got a full board, yes. A few more people who haven't confirmed yet, but I don't believe it'll be the 28th, I believe it'll be the 8th. And that doesn't take very long, that those members will be appointed so that they can meet in the
Okay. So,
I guess it's the direction, you have a certain dynamic with this board, you're gonna have another dynamic with the board of, the comprehensive board, and another dynamic with the planning board. And they're all got their own direction, and it doesn't, I mean, you're saying they're gonna listen to us, but they're not gonna listen to us unless you don't listen to us. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's still maybe
They're
one
gonna
year,
go the
too.
direction that they're gonna wanna go into, and I understand that we're gonna have to sell this plan to everybody and then give everybody in the same, but who is gonna direct them to make sure they stay within that path?
stay with the mission.
Stay with mission.
Well, I think that the
We're not
question,
there.
the big question is, the selectmen can sit there, and the selectmen aren't going to direct them to reduce various things.
No,
They're
that's
not gonna
not,
say, do this, do that, do this, I'm not giving deadlines, which I'm hoping they
that's
will.
not, that's not.
Oh, deadlines would be nice.
That's
But,
not the issue.
no, that's not the issue. I'm talking about two completely different dynamic groups between the EDC and the comp plan committee.
Yep.
But
How are we gonna be on the same page?
Page.
they're gonna have to sell, you're gonna have to sell.
No, it's not selling, it's not details, we need to have true believers. The chair of the planning board, the chair of the comp plan board, the chair, and I use chair, but the boards have to be true believers in the mission of the town. And we can't, if we're talking about sustainable, I'll make both something, Howard's gonna talk about sustainable rural development, right? High-tech agro businesses and so forth. Well, that, I think, is gonna require certain kinds of zoning laws and some changes. I'm out of my field here, but I believe it will. Well, if the planning board's going that way, and we're going that way, how do we harmonize that?
It's give and take, it's negotiations.
It's negotiating the comp planning process. That's
Nobody
what the comp
did-
planning process is.
There's
It's
no
bringing
one
all the
group.
goals of every single individual, I mean, you say your groups, you're all citizens working in the same
Same.
direction. You're trying to achieve the same thing. You have goals, and that's why you have this annoying thing called the goals and objectives section, where you all agree,
Of
this
the
is our
comp
goal
plan.
of the comp plan. This is our goal. This is our objective. And the way to get the EDC's concerns about economic development, frankly, you've got to get your voice in there on the comp plan. If that is not well represented in the comp planning process, then they're going to run over it.
When does the goal and
You have
objectives
Amy,
So
section
who is,
get done?
so
that
who
like
is
the
sitting
first
on the
thing?
comp plan
That should
board
be-
from this group?
That's early.
Right, well, see, but honestly, I mean, you know, we get the meeting minutes to the planning board. I've been to a few of the planning board meetings. I mean, there's a lot involved in that. I mean, you guys are meeting twice a month, right? At least 3 times a month. I can't
No.
go to
No.
that many
No,
meetings.
and
And the thing is, but, so we were expected to go to the planning board meetings, sit and to give our input, but where's the planning board member here? Who, you know, how come we don't have a planning board member here? And
That's
how
what
come
we
we don't
do.
have a comp?
I
You know what I'm saying? If we're gonna send a guy to each one of their meetings, are they sending a guy to each one of ours?
So we really, that's
But
exactly.
the other problem here is that, like, a lot of the planning board meetings that I went to, they get into a level of detail that frankly, I'm going to sleep. I don't care if they go with 17 and a half feet frontage in a zone DB1 or 31.2 feet on
That's
the
the
back
implementation.
lot. You missed
That's the
that.
implementation.
But, right, but what I'm saying is, if we start trying to go to these meetings, very often, they're in a whole different zone, you know? They're not talking about the big stuff, they're getting into the minutiae of,
And the
what
reason
they
they
do.
were doing that, John, was
Yeah.
because that's what the agenda item was to write the contractor storage yard ordinance.
I understand
In this
that, Tad, but what I'm
context,
saying
in this
is,
context, what they've got, for instance, we've got the Townhouse Corner District, or the Eastern Trail Corner District, or the Route 111 District. And what's gonna happen is they are gonna have to look at these things from a macro perspective. What do we need for additional zoning area for business development? Based on some of what Howard's put together in our own projections. What are we gonna need? Do we have enough area?
Good luck.
We're gonna be looking at big issues. Is this where we want that? Do we want the agribusiness there, or do we want it down on Route 1? Oh, no, I think we need it all on Route 1. That's the large scale, the planning board is gonna be dealing with the comp planning committee. That's it, because the comp planning committee is gonna be overview of the entire process.
I get that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if you have a planning board that's meeting 3 times a month, and we can't make it 3 times a month, how do we know when they're approaching the macro issues that we might have some interest in finding out what they're doing or giving them some input? And how do we know when they're gonna be getting into how many feet is gonna be allowed on the front yard of a DB2?
Because the joint meeting between the planning board and the comprehensive planning committee will be a separate meeting. That'll be one of 2 meetings or 3 meetings that month.
So they
It's
won't
all
be doing
be-
regular.
They won't be having regular
Yeah,
agenda, they're
applicants.
gonna be going over ordinance specifics, they're gonna be dealing with that issue, because frankly speaking, if they're doing the townhouse corner and so forth, they can't move forward till it's in the comp plan. Because we've had members and selectmen who said, can't do that until we change the comp plan. That's not in the comp plan, we're gonna change the comp plan. So that's why we're doing it, not because I wanna do a comp plan revision, because some of the things that we're exploring, some of the directions we're going with, and some of the things we're gonna do, they're not necessarily in the comp plan. So, in order to put them into regular, in order to implement what we wanna do here and make it happen, it's gotta be in the comp plan, or else we're not gonna get it, we're not gonna get the votes. So, we're doing that. So this isn't a full comp plan rewrite. This comp plan rewrite is gonna be focusing on issues that are really primary concern to the EDC. I mean, it's gonna be certain business districts that are gonna be of particular interest, and what happens in the agricultural district, the R4 district, which, as you know from the survey results, is the rural character of the town is still a very important thing. It's an important element of Arundel citizens identifying who they are and where they live. And yet we're going to integrate that with some basically agricultural and industrial activities. How's that going to mesh? How are we going to make that work together? How are we going to deal with rural preservation? Those are issues that are going to be large issues the planning board has to grapple with, and frankly, the comprehensive planning committee, as I've told them, asked them members in the past, they admit that the current plan for agricultural preservation and rural preservation has failed. So we got to come up with something better. And how that impacts our agribusinesses and other things that we're looking at, it's very important that the EDC get the general idea across to the planning board and to the comp plan committee. In fact, more than the comp plan committee, because the planning board has got to implement the comp plan.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's more important that we make points or get the point across or get the comp plan committee on board with us than it is with the planning board, because then the planning board is just going to implement. Okay, go do it. Here are the goals, objectives, and the general area, the general result we want. This is the result we want. Now go reverse engineer it. And that's what the planning board's job is. And that's what they're going to do, 17 feet, twitches of the all the rest of that stuff.
Most important for the
Really
EDC
boring stuff.
to be involved with the comp plan committee, and
That's
we have.
Especially in the early phases, right, where they're doing the goal and objectives.
Exactly.
But we're not doing the whole thing. We're going select, we're going and amending specifically for some of the ordinances, some of the ideas that we've had.
We're not redoing the entire comp plan.
It's not.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
it's not what the intent is as we start.
I don't have time to do that. That's a big job.
Yeah, that takes about a year and a
Yeah,
half.
and we're in the amendment mode. The last one we did in 2007, we're way ahead of our usual amendment cycle. It's a 10-year cycle of amendments by law. We're way ahead of that. We got to 2017.
But we know that we have some issues.
We have some things we want to get through and make and implement them. And the only way we're going to do them is by amending the comp plan, which is why the comp plan committee has been put together. And so that's why I think it's very important the EDC represent the economic development interest of the town in this process, quite frankly. Because you have been working with the business community, you have been dealing with business interests in this town, you are focused on that, you're in a good position to provide them with policy directives. And Howard's going to be coming out with something that's very, very critical.
Can we set up meetings in such a way where, like, if they're attending one of our meetings, we can give them the lowdown in the
It'll
first
be
15
fun.
minutes, and then they can blow out of here, or vice versa, I can blow in for 15 minutes, and they can give me the download, and then I can report back to everybody else, or if I can't make it, somebody else can go.
The unfortunate thing is I don't think it's a matter of just back giving you a lowdown. You can always get that from video and minutes. It's more of being involved and making sure that we're on the same path. It's sort of like, at the planning board meeting, and they start talking about certain conformities and stuff, and if that, somebody isn't there that has, like a personal example, they were talking to the planning board committee about making the area where my dealership's not
Well, I mean,
dealership,
sure.
non-conforming, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you have to be there to constantly.
But at the same time, that's what Tad and Todd are both going to be involved in the comprehensive plan committee, right? And they're going to, at that point, have the vision that we should all be sharing from Howard for where we're trying to go, and hopefully have the support of the town to move forward with by that point. So, I mean, the burden shouldn't come completely on us as a committee to do this. I'll do my part, and I think everybody will do their part to get there if we can. If we can make it on a night and go, I'll go, but I mean, I just don't think any of us are willing to commit to doing it full time, you know?
I would plan to have the, formative meetings in conjunction with each other. EDC, this comp plan meeting and the EDC meeting scheduled on the same night, same time, everybody's in the same room, so that you folks understand what the comp plan committee's doing, comp plan committee understands where you guys are coming from, so that everybody can work in harmony. Everybody's not gonna agree on everything, and that'll never happen in Arundel.
Or anywhere
Are you
else.
saying
Or
to
anywhere else,
schedule our
exactly.
monthly meetings for the exact same time and place,
I
and
think
actually
while
be
we're-
together
No,
for a short
that's
period of
not-
time?
Not all, not all,
Yeah.
no, not all of them, but I think that a few initial meetings should be held together, so
The
that
first
everybody
couple of
can,
months of the plan, while the comprehensive plan committee is
And
being
when the-
started.
when the comprehensive plan committee gets to a point where they have a draft, or they want to draft something, then at the EDC meeting, we'll take the information from the comp plan meeting, bring it to the EDC and say, okay, this is where we're at, do you?
I personally think that makes a lot of sense. Once the study's out, right, and we have the study, our main goal as the EDC is gonna be to try to get that out, right, and make sure it gets implemented. And if the biggest thing is gonna be getting it implemented to the comprehensive plan committee, why don't we do that, just meet with them for a couple of months?
Yeah,
For a month or two, or maybe 3, and then, once they're on their way, and then again, like you said, from that point, the planning board is only gonna be implementing what they've put together, so we don't really have to worry about them a whole lot unless they get really sidetracked, and we'll have to step in, but.
I mean, that's
I
the
mean,
whole focus of this whole group, right?
Right.
I mean, we found the company to do this, we've done the research, now if.
Make sure they put
Right.
it in the
I mean, there should
comprehensive
be
plan.
nothing really else on our agenda to make this, but to make this thing work.
Until the plans are in place and it's time to stop bringing in businesses and then.
And if we need to do like an hour with them and then an hour without them or whatever, so if we got other things we need to go over, like the zip code or the, townhouse corner stuff and whatever, we can always schedule the first hour to be with them and the first hour to be without them, and they could probably do the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we could even move to a different room in the school,
Yeah.
and still continue to
Yeah.
come.
that's conference room, yeah.
I would really strongly recommend it. And looking at it this way, think of it in these terms. We're gonna write, essentially, we're gonna take Howard's stuff, and we're gonna amend certain things and add things, because Howard's not doing the economic chapter for a comprehensive plan. I'll have to do that as staff. Well, we're writing the economic development component of the comprehensive plan.
Right.
Think of it in those terms, that's what it is. These guys don't have the expertise to do it. We're not hiring a consultant to come in here and do the comp plan. We don't have any money allocated. So it's gotta be an in-house job like the last one. So essentially, using Howard's as the guts of most of this, we're gonna give them something they've never had before. Because quite frankly, look at the last 4 comprehensive plans, there hasn't been an economic chapter in there. I don't know how they got approved by the state, because that's required to be in the comp plan, litany of requirements. That's one of the things you have to do. We don't have it.
Right.
So they are not going to be in a position to be able to really argue on what the economic policy is in the town. They will, but you're in a much stronger position. And your objective is to make sure that it is adopted into the comp plan. And some of the implementation, we're worried about some of the implementation. This is being triggered because we want to implement certain things, right? And people are objecting to that because they say it's not in the comp plan, or it's, what plan is this part of? You're implementing things we don't know about. So now we're gonna tell them. Now we're gonna tell them what the objectives are. When we get into the comp plan, it becomes policy of the town. It's adopted by the town, it's policy of the town. Then the planning board doesn't decide what goes on, we follow the company. And the selectmen, and frankly speaking, the selectmen do too.
What are we looking at for a time frame on getting this comp plan amended?
Well, there's my timetable and everybody else's. I don't know, Todd, what is the time?
Can we honestly answer that until we find out
I
about how
don't know,
we're
I
doing
can't
this?
answer that. I
No.
can't answer
I mean, we
It's
really
gonna be
can't.
different.
I mean, we're
A
gonna
lot of what
have
I'm
to be-
doing is hinging on what Howard
Right.
does right now.
Right.
I'd like to see November, a new comp plan voted on. That's really optimistic, but if, you know, depending on how it comes out with and how it's received with the town will determine how quickly everything else can move along. And so, until we know when he's finalized his plan, I can't really give you a, you know, a realistic, like I said, I'd like to see November. If everything were to fall into place and work perfectly, that's how it would work. But we can hold a special town meeting at any time in order to, you know, if it doesn't happen in November, in order to, I would like to have it done before regular town meeting next year. I think that's very important. So, you know, as we try to get these boards and committees to move, I'm gonna have that, my initial deadline, I'm gonna say, I'd like to see November, probably knowing that November is unrealistic, but miraculously somehow it could happen, so that there's a sense of urgency to get this stuff done.
Could I ask a question in terms of mission definition? Is the comp plan committee given a mission, that this is not a comp plan rewrite, this is a comp plan amendment? Have they been given that definition of what the scope of the work should be?
Not yet.
Well,
Well,
I think I would recommend that would be done, because there could be mission creep as a result.
Yep, absolutely.
If it isn't done, then there will be mission.
As they were appointed, that will be part of the appointment, is what they are to do.
Not that I'm against doing a full comp plan rewrite.
It's just not.
Does anybody
It's
have
not in
any,
the cards right now.
any
It's not required.
other input on the drug meetings? Good idea, bad idea?
Oh, I think it's a good idea, I just question whether or not we ought to be having, not at the same time as the joint meetings, but are we still gonna need to have EDC meetings to take care of our normal day-to-day business, because
Well, that's what I'm saying,
I
I
have a
think we
feeling
should
that
plan
the-
on an hour with them, and then maybe an hour on our own on the same night, and then,
I wish I could believe that that was doable, but I think we're probably gonna be looking at 2 to 3 hours with them, and then on another night.
well, let's see how it rolls.
I don't mean
You
to
know, it's-
be naive about this whole thing, but what other business, other than making sure this plan happens, should we, I don't think we should focus on anything else other than that.
What do you wanna do about the zip code?
I mean, that's a
Well,
hard
right now, we're just
That's
gonna
in
say,
the-
hey,
It's really not, you've already done what you could do.
And really, the townhouse corner is part of the,
That's out of our hands, that's really not.
well, it's part of the comprehensive
Part of the
plan
comp
committee
plan.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
So we will be
yeah,
discussing that.
we've done our job with the townhouse corner district, basically. We've done, you know, we had our public forums, whatever. Huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that
then-
person
well,
is
that-
up to me to go,
Well, I'm gonna ask you more questions, for that definition.
But, right, I mean, I think, you know, the zip code, we have to, well, yeah, actually, what is this?
Well,
status
we have
report
other,
on?
we have other
Okay.
stuff to go over,
All right.
so should we
I mean,
just leave it?
sorry, I
No,
didn't
go ahead.
interrupt, but in John's question, are we gonna have an additional EDC meeting?
I don't think it's anything we need to answer tonight, Jen, I'm just
Yeah.
bringing up the
No,
point
I
that I've got a
agree.
funny feeling that we have a combined meeting with these guys, there's gonna be stuff that's gonna come up that we should be addressing on our own, that might very well require another meeting, and I got a feeling we could be looking at meeting a couple of times a month here, rather than the once a month window. But I mean, it's the kind of thing, we're just gonna have to
Wait and
See
see.
how it goes.
roll with it, yeah.
And if at that time we all can do it, then we'll do it. So, yeah, who knows? I don't know about how busy I'll be at that time. Even now, I really find time to sleep, so at that point, it could be totally different. I mean, I can't imagine I'll stay this busy all the time.
I have to say that in other towns, these things they just kind of take care of themselves. Because the staff choreographs. They let you know when you need to have joint meetings, and they're probably not going to be very often. And the selectmen are going to drive it to a degree, because if there are factions there pushing and shoving behind the scenes, making deals, whatever, I think it's going to be less onerous than it seems at the moment.
Right now, you're standing in the base of Mount Washington or Kilimanjaro, wow. But, you know, slowly, at each base camp, you get a little closer and.
Because you guys are, every day, you know what's going on, and when the flag needs to be raised,
Yeah.
you'll let us know.
We'll have that, you get those red exclamation point emails.
We're the ones who are writing the documents. that they are not gonna be writing the actual stuff.
So
We are.
they're not gonna get out there ahead of this committee in a way that can't be pulled back. You're
Not without sure,
And I'm not-
nothing informed of it.
Well, the comprehensive plan is gonna allow a rewrite that's not gonna be in line with what we're trying to do here,
Because the Board of Selectmen understand that,
you know?
the Board of Selectmen forwarded the idea to spend $25,000 initially. I
Right.
had to convince them first, so they're not gonna say, they're not gonna sit back and say, oh, really, you wanna just have
Ignore
houses
the
here and
complete
ignore
survey.
everything?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I think you guys are in the catbird seat, honestly. So, but be prepared to have joint meetings, okay? Sam's saying, how do we coordinate and communicate? Yeah, we basically, there will be times we have what we did as a town, the super meeting, if you will, we were
Right.
doing with them. With
Right.
the comp plan committee,
Well-
and the planning board is actually probably gonna be sitting in the background.
Right, a joint committee makes more sense than us attending everybody else's
Yeah,
meetings,
exactly.
listening to what they're doing to make sure that, you know,
No, that's
no,
more-
no,
The
that's not-
occasional.
Right,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it will be occasional, it's not gonna be every time.
perfect, that's,
All right.
that,
No, that's not something we actually need to vote on, right? That we could just,
Nope, that was just an update and a discussion.
The secretary thing isn't too bad.
Wait till you start writing.
Could have brought up something.
we're not doing the big long minutes anymore.
No, but you usually do this, something that says we discuss this.
Yes.
You usually say that.
Do you want to move to zip code status or go back to Townhouse Corner?
Anybody? I'll say we just go back to Townhouse Corner instead of keep things simple. So Jen, do you want to update it with us on that, or is there somebody else that's supposed to update us, or whatever?
The way I personally feel with it, I'm happy with what I've written. I'm at a point where I'm gonna wait to hear what the rest of everyone else about the whole, research. And that would give me better direction to how I wanna, I don't think it has anything to do with, it has a lot to do with the EDC, but it doesn't really, it's not up to us to take care of it, that type of thing.
yeah, I mean, in this, I don't think Howard's not even gonna be addressing what we're doing with the townhouse corner district, I believe.
No.
So that's not, really has nothing to do with waiting for Howard for anything.
Well, no, but for me, as far as like trying to see like how much, this committee puts out a lot of work. So, how much am I willing to put on my plate and see where it's all going?
You have, show yourself to be a little nuts, so, you can on you, and you seem to just take it.
I guess I also put it on the agenda because I need to bring a message, a basic message of what we want to accomplish in the town rest, what we arrived at for conclusions, both to the planning board and to the town planning.
Okay.
And especially to the planning board. Exactly what do we want to accomplish in this district? Because we did have a public hearing, we did hear a variety of different sides, and
See, that's where I kind of differ.
We did hear.
I had a lot of positive input. We all have down that area, other than one person that doesn't live in that area. And I'm not trying to make this a personal thing, but to me, it's more important for the people that actually live in that area to first be okay with it.
okay, what do you want?
You know
I
what I
gotta tell the
mean?
planning board, what do
Well,
you
yeah,
want to
but-
accomplish in this district? What is the intent of this district then?
It was to make it a mixed-use district.
Okay,
Right.
Okay, so what uses did we agree to on that? Because the planning board will say mixed uses, what the comp plan committee will say, it already is mixed uses. What
It's
mixed
not.
uses
It's
are we
not.
talking about? Yeah, actually, the zoning.
It's
is.
non-conforming.
Some of the, you can have a conforming mineral gravel pit there.
It's a
not part of the
rule.
ordinance.
It's a
I guess I'm saying, from what we talked to people and what you reviewed in my proposed ordinance language, is that meeting what you guys were looking for? If you look at that ordinance, the proposed ordinance that I wrote for that, is that hitting the mark? Is that what I
No.
should be selling
No,
to these folks?
because the lot
And
size.
what's not selling?
The lot
Lot
sizes, they weren't
size.
out. They made majority of the people still non-conforming in there if they wanted to do anything.
Okay, what's wrong with the lot sizes?
You had 1 acre lots.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do much better than that.
Why?
Because I don't have sewer.
You have
We
sewer.
don't have sewer anywhere.
Right.
What's it?
Well, I've gotta be able to put a septic system and a well in the same lot. I need state's plumbing code.
They do have to be a certain distance
They have to be
apart, you
certain-
won't
they have
get
to be
a
100 feet
future
apart.
any kind of lending period.
That'd be anybody.
Well, that was the whole thing, that's where, you know, when I wrote the whole thing down and looked into all of that, that was gonna be my next step, to be like, okay, now I'll take, you know, Tad, one, or someone to,
Yeah.
And
So again-
what we would have to do, in Jen's situation, there is no lot that we could put in soil conditions in the plumbing code that will meet the state standard. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to make Jen's lot conforming without making, see what happens if we make the minimum lot size, let's say a quarter of an acre or a third of an acre, and everything in that district can be a third of an acre. Now I've got a cumulative problem with septic.
Right.
First of all, I can't get wells. I might be able to do that if I have a common water system. If I have a water system, never rezoned water system, I can do that. But I can't do that with no water and no sewer down there.
How small is your lot down there?
She's almost a third of an acre.
yeah,
Wow.
if I have water.
She
Oh,
has
you
water.
do? You have
And that's one
town
of the
water
things-
from Kennebunkport?
Yeah. See, that's one of the things.
So then can't we remind if you're gonna use town water, then you're.
That's one of the things.
Smaller lot sizes acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get town water, then it's less,
So,
small
but-
lot
but
size.
that comes back
So
to-
that's really gonna be her.
No, that's not, it's just
No, no, no,
not me,
I'm just saying
because
it's
that was
wrong.
the whole reason why you said, well, then why are you waiting for Howard? Because honestly, like, if there's gonna be a proposal that I go to the comp plan and say, listen, let's bring water down Log Cabin, then that opens up a lot more business opportunities, you know, for like,
But it's the
Bob
town of
Bill's
Kennebunkport's water though, right?
it's KK, it's town of
It's utility.
Kennebunkport,
It's about utility.
Arundel.
Oh.
Yeah, this, I mean, we're supposed
Does
to.
anybody in Arundel have water?
Yeah.
Route 1 has
Oh.
water.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that was my whole thing about listening to what, if Howard says, listen, you've gotta open up from Route 1 down to Kennebunkport, that's gonna help my cause, to be like, listen, we need to get water to go down Log Cabin. Because then that does change the
Well-
lot size.
If there's
That's a
water to
chunk.
your place, Jim, wouldn't it be a lot easier for this townhouse corner project to extend the water from your place and start going up Log Cabin?
That's what I was saying. So if Howard comes back and says, listen, I really advise you guys to help this, da-da-da-da-da, and we had already discussed as we EDC that we wanted to go up to what, John, Up Lane or something like that, we had chosen a road, then it's more apprehensive for me to say, okay, listen, Tad, right now, we have this conforming lot, however, if we can change it to this and get the water to go down there, then that opens up the possibility for a little ice cream shop, for a little this to happen, you know, which everyone in the neighborhood was all for.
Right, well, they all for 3 acre lots, a third of acre
Well,
lots.
no, I mean, would we have a list of who was at that meeting? Okay, okay, right.
Right.
The majority of the people, I mean, it would be easy enough to figure out what size lot these people
Well-
have.
Yeah.
I mean, because we know that they express interest in having mixed uses. So it's up to us, or you, to bring them, okay, well, we can,
So, hold on, let me ask one question before we go down that road, because you're saying that being grandfathered in is not good enough for you to get loans? Because we do loans on stuff that's grandfathered all the time, like,
Yeah, but-
whether it be
It's
residential
not-
or commercial
It's
or.
not, it's not that, it's that, okay, for me, I can't get anything else in there. If I wanna put a little ice cream shop next door, can't do it.
Right, you can't expand beyond what you have.
I don't
because
want
she can't do anything.
I
She
can't
doesn't-
open up another business, and I have the building to put, like, if I wanna put a bookkeeper in it, I
Uh-huh.
have the spot, I can't do it.
But what keeps you from being able to use the rest of your building?
So-
You can't, zoning.
Right, but if it was grandfathered in as the whole building is.
Grandfather
This is
means
grandfather
nothing.
as a store.
The
Huh?
store.
No, I'm not
itself.
Store as it says.
Right, but so if.
I would've
if
had
it-
to have a bookkeeper in there, I would've had to have an ice cream shop already in there.
No, no, but what I'm saying, all right, so say the whole zone gets changed to mixed use, okay? I'm not saying that but with the lot sizes that are in existence and structures that are in existence on the smaller lots than what would currently pass, be grandfathered in as is,
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be allowed to use the building as you see
Yes.
fit, and the lot that you have as you see fit?
Right.
So.
As long as you,
But it's not
as long
just
as
for
you meet
me.
the other.
No, I
But
understand
I
that.
mean,
I'm
like,
talking about you specifically because you're
Right.
here and you can answer
Right.
my questions.
But-
I'm not designing the zoning for you, I'm just,
Right, and that's not what I want represented either. You know, I'm just looking at a part of town that was the hubbub for
Right.
a very long time.
well, the
And
reason I'm asking is because there's a lot of
economically-
people down there, probably with small lots, that fell under this thing where they couldn't do
Exactly.
anything,
Right.
right?
There's
Right.
only
Right.
about
So-
five
So what I'm
lots
saying
of
is, can we figure out a way to not have this thing get passed where you can now put new people buying a third of an acre and putting a business there,
Yes.
but the people that are there can still have a third of an acre and do what they want?
That's
Can it be done?
That's why you make it a non-conforming use, or do the technique that we used in the DB1 district, the attorney actually did approve, she fought with me, but she approved it, is that we say, all businesses exist at this time are conforming.
Right, but more importantly,
Which means
what
they're
about the
not
businesses?
non-conforming.
Right.
But
Which
what
means
about,
they don't have that stigma.
what about,
All
what,
new businesses must meet the new standards.
but let's say she's got,
But that doesn't help me either.
well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm about to
Sorry,
get to. Let's just say
Why?
somebody's got a
You
building
can't sell
there.
it. What kind of
Okay, wait a
resale can I
second,
get on that
the
building?
reason why it doesn't help is, okay, you have somebody like Mark Gondo, his property,
Yeah.
okay? He had it's a garage with an apartment above it, and when he bought it, it was a plumbing, a guy had a plumbing, I don't know, it was a he had a plumbing business in there.
So what else do
So-
you want to put a little?
Well, the
box?
thing is, he was gonna put a little lobster pound in there originally, and it never happened right away. The way that it's zoned right now, after 2 years,
Right.
right, but after 2 years, it went away. He now it's residential,
lost
he
that
put
opportunity.
anything in there, can't do anything with it. The thing about it is his lot is gonna be too small right now. It's a tiny lot.
I think he's one of the small.
He's one of the small ones, okay, so he's got a small lot, right now it's residential, so according to this rule that was just written, he wouldn't be able to do anything anyway, because his lot is too small, and he doesn't have an existing business, so
Right.
he would still be considered residential.
That was actually done in 2006,
Right.
What was?
the change of the zone,
Right.
2005.
So that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
So
then
my
turn this
point-
into residential, right, I know, it wasn't that long ago that this, it was not like this has been a residential.
I must not be
zone for-
saying it right though, because what I'm saying is not, would have covered what you're saying. Like, if you have a building already there, whether it's now residential or now commercial, but your building is in existence, you can, if it becomes a mixed use zone, you can use that building in that zone for whatever you want,
Right.
because it's already there.
Right.
So that would mean Mark could change his house into a lobster pound if he wanted to, because he's already there. You can't build another building off the side of it and make that commercial, because, or residential. If it's already doesn't meet the zoning requirements, you can't add to it. You know what I'm saying? But you can use whatever's there in existence. So for the people that already own land in that area, whatever they've got is good enough to do what they want with that.
So Joan could have another business in the
She
building.
could add on to, not add on to the physical building, but move some of the building that is now either residential or not being used, and make that into whatever she wanted to do with it, because it's already there.
The only issue she'll run into is probably parking and septic.
Oh,
Well,
the
that's-
requirements
Right.
of parking.
There are requirements for parking. Because remember, cars weren't big when the development pattern down there occurred.
Sure.
It was all trolleys, it wasn't automobiles. So they built accordingly.
Right.
But she does have some land in the back, she does have some parking, you usually do it at the time of the shared parking. Septic is always an issue.
But that's,
She doesn't have
that's
septic.
like me.
Right.
But then the other thing, when you look at how I feel the area is, and the people in the area right now that are living in, they want, just like at that meeting, they wouldn't mind having that little pink locust down there. They would like to see some life. You know, the gentleman that lives 2 houses down, he bought his property because he liked the idea that his son could ride his bike to a little store. They don't want those things to be taken away. And me as a person, I just think it's silly that we have locked. You know, I've answered a lot of questions this week about why does a Arundel want to be segregated from Kennebunk and Kennebunk Court? And I answered that a lot this week. And I said, absolutely not. That's not what our goal is. you know,
Is
our
that
goal is.
out there because of the zip code?
They're thinking, we want to be
It's just
so,
a
yeah.
different, more way of thinking, like, oh, a zip code, you know, no longer, and I'm like, absolutely not.
That's not the.
We want to be able to be complemented
That's
to
also
both.
seceding combination.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it started as a bad way of thinking. I said, absolutely not. We want to complement, if
Right.
anything, and we want to be identified. You know, it's very hard in technology in this age to be identified if we are combined all the time. You know, the same way with, you know, you've got the gateway going down to historic and thriving tourism in Kegong, and we've got it locked. You know, I don't want to make that Route 1. I don't want to make that this thriving area and put a gas station in and all this. That's not what because we live there too. But at the same time, wouldn't it be great to collect some of that money coming in before it hits Kegong?
So we have, so what I'm walking away with is I'm gonna try to figure out a way to make non-conforming uses that are conforming. This is an act. Also allow for lot reduction for water hookup, sewer and water hookup business. And also I need to create ordinances that create a purpose image, both physically and socially. Which means I need sidewalks. We need, or at least safe places to walk.
Cape Porpoise doesn't, I have that information for you, that's, the amount of footage for sidewalks in Cape Porpoise, I mean.
You don't go very far.
No, but the objective are.
No, yeah, they have small sidewalks around.
Cranberries to,
Well, that's probably one of the things that you want to have in that, because that is an easier corridor.
It does.
Right.
Not
And-
on Rundle,
and-
but on Log Cabin. So, but, and you're starting to get this in the areas that I do want to discuss. Yeah, no gas stations. Well, that's a big no. Okay, no gas station. I don't have a problem with that. But what else do we want to say no to? What else should I change in the ordinance or put in the ordinance to make sure that it doesn't denigrate that Cape Porpoise image and character that you should?
I'll email you the
Well,
whole
I-
thing that I have, because,
Well, I'm just asking
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah, but
I need
But I mean, I
to-
collected
But
it that
everything
night.
has that, I mean, if it's got the village look, if it's mindful of its neighbors, you know what I mean? You can't have, you can't have a,
You
wow, you
don't
can't have
want-
Bentley's there
You have
because
to
there's too
limit
many
the-
houses, you know what I'm saying?
You don't want a
It's
Motel
not-
6 in the Grange.
Exactly.
You just said you don't want a Bentley's down there, so I've got to limit it. So now
Wait a
we're
second.
down to
No, no,
limits.
no.
I'm just talking, you know what,
Traffic
now-
generation.
no, I'm talking about, you have a
Noise
person that has
restrictions.
a house right there, and they're not gonna wanna listen to a band till 12 o'clock at night.
I took a sample that you
That's what I'm
generated.
saying.
Remember that sample?
I'm not saying it can't be a restaurant or.
The sample that you had done for us.
Of the ordinance?
Right, of the ordinance. I elaborated on that.
Okay, could I see that?
Yeah,
'Cause I haven't seen
yeah.
it.
And-
That's what I need to have something I can take to
Right.
have ammo.
Right.
'Cause I've
Because
put
the funny
foot on
part of
ground,
it is
now I
like
hear everybody
the
else's.
one person that was objected, who's not part of the neighborhood, but very rightfully so to be there, that's the person that wanted the gas station there. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's why we're like, as a neighborhood, we're like, we don't want a gas station there. But, I mean, ideally, I know you have to present this to the town, and I understand that, you know, but I think it's very important on my point of view, is to make sure to take care of the people that already live there. I don't want them thinking that
Right.
we're gonna create this metropolis.
And I think they all trusted that, and the impression I got from everybody that was there was one person that was against any of these changes, and the rest of them were very much interested. They, they didn't,
Even the
wanna
gentleman
see-
that wasn't from the area.
Mr. Duet,
Yeah, you know.
put it in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, but that's being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's being honest. And I find it hard to believe that Howard's not gonna come back with some kind of idea with that.
I'm not sure it's really in his scope
I
of
don't
work.
think it's in the scope, I don't think he's.
It really isn't.
Because a couple times I talked to him, what's the townhouse called?
He's not doing an
Right now.
economic development plan for us.
Yeah.
He's got a very focused study he's doing for us to give us the very important information we need to have to make economic decisions. If you're gonna be making recommendations both for the complaint
It seems
committee
very
and
hard
the
to
select-
write common sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's very
that's
hard to
what-
write
and I'm
common
not
sense.
saying that he's gonna come back and say, you do this down here, but, I mean, in order to make that really happen, we gotta open it up.
Okay.
I just can't imagine it. That's not.
You know, and I would be careful when you, with the word, manufacturing, because, you know, there's some small manufacturing, you know, that you consider manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's got his little, and it's great. I know another guy who's got a stool making business, and, you know,
We have
I just-
classifications for that.
So
I just don't want that limited there.
Can I just,
They've got the whole building place, that's considered manufacturing, they're set back, they're out of everybody, you know, that's not hurting anybody.
Right.
I don't want to see that limited.
can I just say this? Let's, let you get what you have over to Ted. Maybe Ted can spend a little time working on between now and our next meeting, review what you've got put together. And if I may just say, like, I mean, Ted, think common sense when you're thinking about a business next to a house. I mean, what are the problems that you're gonna always come up with in that situation, right? Noise, light pollution, space requirements. I mean, I don't know how to write that stuff, but that's the stuff that you gotta put in there, you know? I mean, you don't want,
I got dumpster to pick up, times, I put it all,
so, yeah, I mean,
it's pretty restricted.
Water is going to be an issue though. I spoke to Norm Labby last Thursday, and he doesn't believe he has a way to serve that area without coming down Route 1. And if they have to come down Route 1, without coming from Route 1, and if they have to come from Route 1 down to Log Cabin Road, that's about a $3 million expansion.
We pay.
And that would be the town.
No.
Because I did ask him that, because I asked him
So
if there
why
was
couldn't
any
they go
water
in the other
service.
direction?
What's that?
Why couldn't they go, I mean, if the water's already going to Jen's, why can't it?
Does water go to you?
Yeah.
It does. Okay, see, I didn't.
They have to
he
look,
told me that.
but they can look at it in other words. They have to look at it for regulatory purposes, to prevent dead ends.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't realize it was already water down there.
Yeah, there is. There's hydrants down there,
Okay.
so, I assume there was water. It's gotta be, there's hydrants.
well, she's got
Well,
it.
she said she's on.
She's gotta have it, because otherwise I have no idea how, if she's.
Do you know
any
water
quality?
Any of the other businesses, Jen, that have water? Or any, do the residences, not the residences down there? I would assume.
I'll
I'll
have
find
to- I'll
out
have to
from
find
Norm
out.
where it loops back, it's gotta loop back in the same.
Yeah, I'll talk to them once again.
Well, I need to get his map for Howard anyway.
Okay.
Howard's guy called me up and said, I need these maps too sweet.
So do you think you could take that on for us, Ted, between now
Well, I'm
and
going to
next
have to,
meeting?
because I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to sell this to the complaint committee. This is one of the districts that they've.
That's a big one, you know, it's a big,
But
it's a big
again,
one, it's just a part of town and the location that it's in, how close it is to Kennebunkport, how many people go by it.
It's
You know,
also a big
it's
one
a-
because it's a major departure from what they did in 2005.
Right.
And there's gonna be some defense of that I'm bringing in, and rightly
but if
so.
I have to bring the neighborhood, then that's what we do.
And that was what was so important about having
We brought
that
the
meeting.
neighborhood
Right.
out.
But
We've done
they
that.
haven't seen it, they haven't seen it. But it's
They
what,
should have come to the meeting.
but they didn't even exist then. But the point is, you've got the ammo right now,
But
that's the point.
Right,
You've
but
got the
that's
ammo
where, but I
that-
think,
that
I
we
know
didn't have
Howard's
before.
not talking about that whole thing, but I think if we're gonna sell the plan about how we're gonna make this work and how we're gonna develop the bundle.
And honestly, that doesn't need to be,
Together.
why do we have to sell that to the comprehensive plan when it's already, I mean,
Because if we don't change the comp plan, the plan.
we don't need to sell it to them though. You've already said that. I mean, they're gonna take the direction of what's given them.
It's still gonna take support.
It's gonna take some-
But I mean, part of what we're gonna find out though in the study is that, hold on, is that people like rural. This area
I-
we're talking about is not gonna be
That's what we
rural.
need to hold
So that's
down.
gonna be part of what we have to
Yeah,
address.
there's a lot of restrictions in there and it's not.
But I think
Right,
that's
but
why
it's
we
not
work
gonna be broke,
together
no
at
matter
the
what
joint
you-
meeting.
I understand we're gonna work together as a joint meeting, but you're telling us that this could be in the hands of this 5-person committee?
Whoever signs up for the committee is the.
Can actually determine whether this town will follow through with changing this district?
Well, it's have to
Determine what's gonna get forwarded at town meeting.
Town meeting makes the decision.
Town meeting needs to accept the comprehensive plan, which it took 3 or 4 go-arounds last time for it to
Okay,
pass.
I guess I gotta go back to square one. We had this discussion a long time ago about when we were first given this task of the Townhouse Corner District. And we talked about the size of it, and we shortened the size, and we said we should take it this, that way we wouldn't have to amend comprehensive plan. That was.
That was said.
That was said,
Yes, it
that
was.
was the discussion. Why has that changed?
Because now the comprehensive plan is being amended regardless of
It's-
this townhouse corner.
The scope, we're
Yeah,
talking
that has
about more
nothing
than
to
just
do-
Townhouse Corner right now. We're
No,
talking about
I'm
more
talking-
than just a small little section. I don't think I was at the meeting where it was discussed that if we scale back the scope of that district, that the comp plan wouldn't need to be changed.
No,
I
you
didn't
were
say
not.
that. No, he wasn't, and at that time, the planning board agreed that we probably did not have to do that.
What
But
was
what has
the,
happened in between is that there have been various parties, I think Danny Boy has been one of them, quite frankly, believes that strongly that the comp plan has to be amended because this is a major departure from the comp plan. And it's all, and that's the debate that's been at the planning board level. What is the comp plan? Is it a Bible or is it a guidebook? I always think it's a guidebook. That's my attitude.
It is a guidebook.
And the planning board,
It's not a
who makes the
Bible.
recommendation, believes that they should, at this point, they've been convinced, and they've heard from other folks that we're gonna go with the comp plan committee with a limited scope to take care of this and several other issues, to amend the comp plan so so basically the ordinance will be in compliance with the comp plan.
Which I understand, amending the comp plan, so it's in, and that I understand. What I don't understand is, we've already, basically, I thought the planning board was on, we had planning board members here when we discussed this, they were in agreement. We drew in more people in a public forum than I think, and the planning board has ever seen in any of their
Oh, I
public
see what you're
forums
saying,
in
so-
the longest time.
Right.
Why is it that this select group of 5 members can determine whether we're gonna go through this townhouse district?
In other words, what was the point of all the work that we did?
What
if
was
they're
all
not
the
gonna
point
listen to
if
us?
these guys are gonna make that decision for us?
they're not necessarily gonna make that decision.
No.
You just said,
They're going, the
What we're going
comprehensive
to do
plan
is
committee's
change the
job
comp
is to
plan.
change the comp plan.
Not be it's
And they're
mercy
not
comp plan
necessarily
committee.
gonna change it the way that some people want it, and they're not gonna change it the way that other people want it. And so the 5 people that are on the comp plan committee will take the input from the other boards and committees, and hopefully will do,
so if we have the Economic Development Committee that has brought forth public members, and they are in agreement, and then we have a planning board that is in agreement. Why do we send it to the comp plan?
The planning board wants the comp plan committee to make the changes to the comp plan.
And the decisions, or just the changes?
They want to make changes, they want to make changes to the comp plan. But they can't just sit there and tell a comp plan any more than you can tell the board of selectmen, you won't do this.
No.
Well, why don't we?
No,
why-
I think we got that one.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we wait to see who's on the comp plan committee, see if we can all get along nicely and play together well, and if we run into a problem where they're not gonna listen to our recommendation, and those are the people that live there, and the rest of the information we've already got, then we'll deal with that at that time. And if we have to stomp our feet and jump up and down and get other people involved, then we will. But for right now, we don't have any reason to really think they're not gonna listen to us, and that they're gonna go directly against all
No,
the
because it was just
information.
brought up that we had to go and bring all these people back again and sell it again to the comp plan.
No, I wasn't suggesting that, I was suggesting, you asked, well, we have to go over the subject with the comp plan committee, yeah, we have to sell, we're gonna say, yeah, we think this is a good idea, here's why, and the neighborhood agrees. And we had the public hearing, it's approved.
I swore I heard that we were gonna have a agreement.
but we're not bringing that group back, no. With that group meeting and the information that came out of it is just supporting information to give to the comp plan to say, so the people in the neighborhood think.
And it was supportive information. We all can agree that they are in support of this.
Right.
Okay.
Is that reasonable? For now?
Yes.
I don't know if we've got much choice.
Well, I mean,
Either that or get defeated at the polls.
Right.
It's that simple. Go through all the work, do all the stuff, and we get a block of voters to come in and take you down at town meeting. Had that happened to me for the whole zoning ordinance before, it's not fun, I'm not gonna do it that way. We're gonna build our support at this point, we're gonna make our case, and as you say, we will drive off that bridge when we get to it, but we will get this thing through.
I wasn't talking about driving off bridges, I was hoping we could all just play nice.
We
That's
can,
all.
we will play nice, but I guess
I
the
think
point
he
is,
has crossed
I'd rather
that
do it this way.
As opposed to drive off. They don't drive off, that's where we
We'll
get.
build that bridge. Yeah.
We're building bridges.
We're not driving off them. I don't have any intention
Well,
of going
if we
swimming in my
don't-
car.
Exactly. And the point is, we have to go through this process. We're not gonna be able to sidestep it. Okay, so let's build our consensus, let's build our support, let's get through this thing, get it done, get the comp plan behind us on this, and then we'll vote.
I think the comp plan committee would be psyched to get all the work we've done for them already on
I
this
think
thing.
they will be too.
Hopefully they'll just take it and hand it over and agree that we did a good job and
Well, especially,
Support
not
the
only
work
that,
we've
especially
done.
like when we have the full study coming back from Howard, if
if
we're
they
all.
don't, I'm gonna take my
you
phone and
know.
go home.
All right. Any other discussion on Townhouse Corner District?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we move on, because it's 10 to 8 and we still got 2 other hopefully short things to cover. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't even take 5 minutes on the zip code, it's in the hand of the postal office.
we're
So,
All right.
it's,
It's a
the
wait and
request
see.
has been submitted with the supporting information to the district manager of the US Postal Service in District 1, or whatever district we are, and I'm just waiting to hear back as to what other supporting information they need from us, so.
Do you know, happen to know who that is, and is it?
Debbie Essler is her name.
Is it better for us to be advocates and kind of like,
I think
be
it,
supportive?
no, at that point will come, because they do their financial review first to make sure it's not gonna cost them a lot more money, and I could almost convince them that they may actually do better, because the people that don't want to run the zip code are gonna buy a post office box in the port. But when it comes to time for the community survey, that's when you're gonna wanna
Okay.
provide some serious information, and I'll let you know when we get to that point, for
Okay.
sure.
Would we have an option to buy a post office box and run it? We won't, right, because there's not gonna be any post
No, we
office.
can buy one in Kennybunk here before.
I've already got one in before. I don't trust my mail on Long Cabin Road. and
Yes,
people-
and you will be able to do that still, because we won't have our own post office.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, my mailbox is in Kennebunkport anyway.
Is it really?
Across the street.
On the other side of the road.
Yeah,
So that does the zip code. Any questions about that for me that I might?
I already checked that one off the agenda.
Good, thank you.
So new business, anybody got any?
A couple of quickies. Dana Peck just retired from the Board of Selectmen. Does anybody have any opinions as to whether or not it might be nice to send him a letter thanking him for his service? And
Oh, really? You
Just-
did?
just in
Was
that,
he one of the two that?
well, he was kind of responsible for getting this committee started.
He just chose not to rerun.
Right.
He voted out, he just chose
Right,
not to rerun.
right, that's what I'm
But
saying,
he
so that's one
technically
of
is
the.
the liaison between us and the Board of the Selectmen. Is he
Yeah,
still
we're gonna
going
get-
to be involved in this committee?
I saw him today and I meant to ask him that question and I didn't, but I will ask him that question. And if not, we will select a new liaison to the board.
A new liaison to the board, and he's, well, we are gonna.
We're gonna have a new
we need
liaison no matter what.
but Is he gonna, maybe he's.
Yeah,
wants
it's
to
business
jump
on
on.
the run.
Yeah.
So, he might wanna consider jumping. Yes, Iron.
To answer John's question, yeah, we should do something.
I move that Ira draft a letter and send it out under the signature of the chairman of this committee to Dana, just saying thanks for.
Or how about like a
Same.
card or? Card, like congratulations.
I think a pass to the trolley is what he's talking.
There we go. Now, Howard, guess who did the different way?
We have a motion to go forward, but I don't think you've got a second.
See, I like
Okay.
awkward family
What was the
photo
motion?
cards. I think
Did you write the letter?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, if somebody
Go on,
wants
I'm
to.
a second.
I'll sit.
I second.
All right.
All in favor?
I,
I'll write a letter, that's fine.
Wait a
All right.
minute, he's the chairman, he says.
John's
I see you're on the job, Steve.
Alright.
Make it
That's pretty bad.
secretary.
Alright, all in favor?
I,
Okay.
Okay,
in that letter, should he ask him if he wants to join us?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
good
Well,
idea.
there's the guy who appoints.
See if he'll
Yeah.
join our committee.
I talked to him today, I should have asked him.
Well, he's on the email, it's not like he's not involved. He's the poor guy's got to listen to all this.
He might want to rest. He hasn't had it for a long time.
The only other quickie, would you like to fill this group in on what's going on with this farm fair thing?
I was gonna do that.
Well, going to it.
I was going to just say real quickly before we move on from Dana Peck, so he got replaced on the board of selectmen, and who are the two new, I didn't even know.
There's only one new.
Only one.
Jason Neto was the new, Velma got reelected,
Okay,
and Jason Neto was.
so Velma was just up for reelection.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay, and then Jason,
And Dana was up for re-election, but he chose not to.
Yeah.
not
Just not to
to,
run.
okay. So now, who are the boards though?
Velma Hayes, Tom Danwick, Phil Labby, Jason Neto, and Dan Du Bois.
Is Phil Labby related to you at all through marriage?
No,
Not those Labbies?
no.
Okay.
The other Madors in town are related to those lobbies.
Other Medors?
Yes, there are other Madors in the
You
town,
do
not
have
related
a-
to us.
Brother that has a daughter that's married to a Labby or something like that, right?
Yes, and that's the other Labbies in town.
Okay, that's what I was saying, the other
Yes, there are other Labbies in town too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah.
I played golf with her
Right.
husband the other day, and he's a member of.
No, I was wondering if, I didn't see the ancestry.
Yeah.
That's those farm days, it's all about ancestry.
I'll give you a little family chart.
I think that's kind of cool,
Yes,
having it
yeah.
as a final idea.
Yeah, I have a joke that says Bobby, Resort, Cloud, Clough is just not good.
Something to remember.
Farm days.
Farm days, family farm days, they haven't actually made they're looking for a little snazzy title, so if anybody can come up with something creative, let them know.
Other than family fun days?
Well, I'm calling it that, I don't know exactly what it is, but basically what it is.
Humdinger.
Marvel's Humdinger.
Where'd you chat, guy?
We have a winner.
Right now, it's decided upon September 14th. Rain date is September 28th.
What was the date?
September 14th.
And where is it gonna be?
Where it's, I have a little map.
Okay.
I copied it from Google Maps, but basically where, on the Old Limerick Road, where the two houses are that they moved, and Kate's Butter, and Mador property, wherever they need property over there on Route 111, there's that whole area.
Wicked big
over there.
town.
No, this is the
Yeah,
Wicked
big
Shot Fund.
Yes, and they're gonna do a little bit of everything, they're still deciding upon that. In fact, if anybody would like to be involved or see what's going on, they are having a meeting Thursday night, June 20th, here, 7 o'clock. Okay? Basically what they're trying to do is to get as many like different organizations in town
2 days?
involved in 2 days, yes, Thursday night, 7 o'clock. They just want to build basically a sense of community, bring people to the town, whatever. So that you know, I thought a road race to start the morning off might be a good idea. And I sort of did volunteer the EDC, but I said the EDC would be like, this would be their, I didn't
Yeah, you
commit,
did.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway,
They're all about it.
that's all right, but don't worry, we're gonna get lots of committee members to help with that. So we're looking at having a 5K to start the morning off. They have a lot of good ideas. In fact, Lucas
Yep.
Patry? Did he call you? He needed a baker, and I gave him a number that night. So anyways, I'm just the first night that we met. So anyways, they're just throwing out ideas right now. And I've already contacted Active.com and the road racing places to find out if this is something that could be pulled together. Jen and has been talking to Jack about doing a.
Yeah,
Mud-
no, he's gonna do the hay bale thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't know if we could take it off-road and do, instead of a road race, bring it onto the fields and climb over hay bales and run through mud puddles and maybe shovel manure or something like that.
Shovel manures? What?
Shovel manure. Just make a fun run, an obstacle course, farm race, you know what I mean?
How
And
down the road.
yeah,
I told Donna and Ginger that since I was a little kid, I wanted to put a slip and slide in that field and slide down hills.
so you might have your opportunity.
You might be able to
You
do
know,
it.
40 by 100 tarp and have,
Is this the thing you were saying earlier that you were gonna do
No, this is something.
Well, she's trying to plan something, but yeah.
So yeah, Thursday night, 7 o'clock here.
Kick off.
There's a nice 7 o'clock here,
the?
so. So that's what I got for the front days.
Okay.
So,
Now, there was some talk at that meeting, would the Economic Development Committee be willing to take on getting local businesses involved who might want to set up booths or displays or that type of thing. I said I would run it by the committee. Sam did at one point, send out an email, I think everybody got rah, 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 let's do this. My feeling is that we've got a full plate already.
I'm not doing it.
No, I'm not doing it.
Thank you, Sam.
So unless
But the
somebody
rest
wants
of you
to-
feel free.
Sam, who is greatly enthused about it, is going on vacation to Spain for a couple of months. Ira's got a hell of a schedule. You guys are at the height of your season. Linda's running a race. And looking around the table, I don't want to take it out on my own.
yeah,
So
I
So
think,
I
I think with our
suggest we
support
can-
verbally, that we can definitely, try to input the, like as a group, I don't think.
yeah,
It's way outside the scope of what
right.
a town committee should be doing.
Yeah, I don't think we should be calling on businesses, but I think that,
Well, I mean, I plan on calling on businesses in order to help with sponsorships and stuff like that, for
Right,
road
personally.
race and stuff.
But you're doing that
Okay.
as
I'm just saying, like, I don't.
Well,
I
that was
might
it.
wanna
That
help
was
get
another thing.
involved
Do you want-
personally, But not as the EDC. I don't
Okay,
think we
so
should
you
be-
want me to leave, not
Yeah,
I don't
do
think
it?
we should call
Not as
business and
EDC.
ask them if they'd be willing to participate in having a booth, and, now you're kind of raising money, and it's.
Oh, exactly. I think it would be a hell of a lot of work, and I don't
It's almost
think
like-
we've got the
Well, the other
time
thing too
to
is,
do
that
it.
being said, we don't have time to do that type of thing, but they do want, I think, somehow the committee's involved so that, should we have our own personal booth to talk to people about what we're doing? Do you know what I'm saying? That type of
That's
thing.
different.
That, right.
We should definitely be in support of the
Support of it,
activity.
we gotta
Show up
support
and
somehow.
have a rep there and talk about it ourselves, and
We have to worry about, the solicitation of business, imagine if the planning board came over and started soliciting funds from various businesses
Yeah.
from the thing. There'd be this sort of conflict.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Could we sponsor, say, like, I was thinking farm, after a road race, they usually get, pancakes or something after the road race. Can EDC sponsor something at the event? Can we do something?
No.
should sponsor it.
You could have a booth,
Yeah,
and, well, my hope was that the new branding and everything would be rolled out by then, and the EDC could have a booth to tell people what's been going on and get the word out that way.
basically, with the local.
Yeah, but we gotta bring people to the booth, so we gotta
Right.
do something creative.
Yeah,
fresh.
Personally, I
I'm
would
gonna
be.
dunk tank myself.
Why don't we do the public
Linda.
official dunk tank? No, it would be Tad and Todd and all the other
I'm
selectmen.
missing
and-
I do it at Bentley's every year, so
There you go.
we have a pretty good turnout. I like
Personally,
They
I
always try to
might
hit
be
me,
able
not the
to
client.
donate some burgers and dogs and grill or something like that, like from my own, either me personally or as, People's United Bank Mortgage Department or whatever, so.
Sounds like the bank would really want to jump in on both feet on this one.
Well, when it comes to mortgages, I'm pretty much on my own, but I do have a bit of a small slush fund that, I get monthly to do certain things like playing golf tournaments and it's not like gonna be.
Put a Bentley's car.
Yeah. See, I think this is misconception
my
that
wall.
because we are the economic development, we're the ones with all the business contacts. So I think they're thinking we're the ones who are gonna go out and get the businesses
Oh, I think
involved.
that was the,
that was
I think
the-
that was the.
Yeah.
Just
Legal comments, we're not a corporation, we're a committee.
Right.
And when and if this group becomes a corporation, then that certainly is an appropriate thing to do. But we're still a town committee. And you have to, and I know it's difficult to think in these terms, but think of yourselves like a ZBA or the budget committee.
But you, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's have our support 100%, help out, you know, maybe some labor, you know, that sort of thing, but I think our focus would just be to like have a booth, maybe promote what we're doing and.
And the logo will be there, I mean, we'll have the logo to sell, right? Unless it behaves it. They'll get 5 shots at it, so.
Well, we think we'll have it, but.
Yeah, we don't.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Wish for it.
We can put the logo on the,
Banner.
on the T-shirts that we're gonna get handed out at the road race. That are
No,
gonna be paid for by the business sponsors.
You want that logo?
I'm gonna ask for personally.
You want the logo there?
All right.
Any more new business, Sean?
No, I think that's it.
Gotta close the meeting first.
Can we take off the home page the document about remove cost sharing 2013?
It's still there?
Impact statement.
Oh.
Way down the bottom.
Okay. If I can find where you put it. I'll take care of it, yeah. Budget, okay.
No, I think you put it on, so I'll do everything.
Can you
Oh,
replace that?
on the home page.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
gotta find where,
well,
oh,
well,
attached document.
I think so,
Can,
yeah.
can we replace that with the Port Arundel Chamber of Commerce link?
That I'll have to look into.
I can figure something out.
It's in the Chamber of Commerce. when
Well,
you-
I know I can do it, I just need to make sure that.
They're asking us for money. They want us to go.
Oh.
It's gonna cost me when
You get your annual dues.
That's a very good answer.
We have a couple of other shortcuts on that home page that perhaps we might want to think about getting rid of, which are getting kind of old.
Yeah, the old town center plan,
The shortcut to the 2013 budget proposal.
I mean, that
think
is
that's
up for
right.
sale.
Over there. It is up for sale.
The shortcut to the June edition of the Arrow.
The old, yes.
Halfway to July, it's old.
We're still gonna come back.
Um,
That's a little private.
no, that's on.
Okay.
I don't even know what that was, so.
It was extremely.
yeah, is there a
contentious.
place on the front there
We're
that you
still
can put,
suffering from.
on Kennecott?
That's what I was on leave.
They have, on the business section, they list properties that are available,
What's the center
on
in the top
storefronts
corner?
and so forth. I
Is
know
that somewhere
some.
else?
So I wanna tell you, so you-
Jim
I will
Fox
tell you
said
some
to
of that
himself,
possible
that he
money.
said with vacant properties, is there a way for us to
Very-
do
The
this?
show's gonna happen.
People who want to, you know, they can see listings of properties that are available for rent for business and so forth.
It wouldn't be hard to set something up if we had the listing, you know, that's, I'm not quite sure how to go about getting that information.
I honestly, oh, well, I think we have to put the word out there that we'll be willing to do that. And then once people start seeing it, they might call up and say, hey, how can I get my property on there? I gotta get the police. And I mean, it's just gonna have to be notification by email or word of mouth and tell the bills, but if you look on Kenny Bob's website, you can see what it looks like.
If you can give me the information on those 2 properties of Plumondons, I can set something up so that we can add something, you know, so that we can add other properties to it, because I think it would be a good idea.
To start with.
Might want to think about possibly 2 sections, one for vacant land that's for sale, and one for,
Rental,
you know.
storefront, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah. Divvy it up.
so we can
That's-
figure that out as we get to it.
All right. Any other new business, or? All right, shall I adjourn this meeting?
You can make a motion to do so.
I make a motion to wrap this meeting up and adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's my list of my business.